Now, more of the Old Time Radio Show on 71K News with your host, John Dunning.
And this is a very special Sunday afternoon for our guest via the long lines is Eve Arden of Our Miss Brooks. Hi, are you there?
Hi, John. Yes, I am.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
How are things out on the West Coast?
Oh, beautiful. Gorgeous today.
You have a voice that is enduring. I don't know whether I should start off by saying that, but...
well, it better be.
It's one of the two or three voices that you hear and instantly you know who it is. Has that been a blessing or what?
Well, it's been kind of astonishing to me because if I get in an elevator and say 3, 6 people turn around. Eve Arden, and I'm always embarrassed because it's a day when I would like not to be caught, you know.
Yeah. Well, what happened? What do you do in a situation like that? I don't know if anybody can identify with that who has not been in it. What do you do when...
I guess not. I'm very used to it now because it's lasted since Our Miss Brooks, you know. Well, even before that, pictures I did, people identified my voice immediately.
As summer turned into fall, Connie Brooks celebrated a birthday, which she naturally forgot. The October 24th, 1948 episode was called Putting the Touch on Miss Brooks, or The Surprise Party.
Palmolive Soap, your beauty hope, and Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous dream girl hair bring you Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden. Our Miss Brooks teaches English at Madison High School. She's very fond of her pupils, and they're very fond of her. She's also very fond of biology teacher Philip Boynton, and he's very fond of his frogs and guinea pigs. This absorption in his laboratory is largely due to Mr. Boynton's natural shyness. Well, that is to say that he's shy in the world of reality. But in the dreams of Our Miss Brooks, Philip Boynton is every bit as ardent and attentive as any woman could desire. Let's listen.
Oh, my darling Constance. You're so lovely, so desirable. I feel I could fly on the wings of our love. Won't you join me, Constance, on a flight to paradise?
Contact.
I must pause for a moment, my darling. You know why?
For station identification?
I want to look at you again before I kiss you. And if you notice anything strange in my eyes, dearest, it's stardust.
Well, sweep it under your lids and let's get going.
Oh, isn't it wonderful, Connie? Just you and I alone in our dream house.
Yes, it is, Philip. And if anyone comes calling, we'll refuse to answer the doorbell. Sorry, wrong number. Oh, okay, alarm clock. Oh, you win. Quiet. If I could have slept a few more minutes, that dream might have gotten the Academy Award. Come in.
Good morning, Connie.
Good morning, Mrs. Davis.
I've brought you a little breakfast tray. Hope you like the surprise recipe on it.
Another surprise recipe? I'm still trying to get used to the last one. Rye crisp boiled in breadcrumbs.
Oh, this isn't anything like that, Connie. This is a famous Alaskan dish. Want to know what it consists of?
No, what?
It's very simple. You just take a pound of frozen whale meat, thaw it out, roll into patties, and fry in deep seal fat.
Oh. What do you call this Eskimo's delight?
Blubber burgers.
Blubber burgers?
Yes. Of course, not everyone can enjoy them at first eating. How do you stand on the whale meat, Connie?
I really don't know, Mrs. Davis. I've never stood on any. It was nice of you to bring a tray into my room, Mrs. Davis, but I'd rather have breakfast out here in the dinette with you.
Oh, thank you, Connie. But you haven't had a thing but a glass of milk.
I know. You can't fry that. That is, I didn't feel very hungry.
Oh, that's too bad. Today of all days.
What's so special about today?
Don't you know?
Let's see. Oh, certainly. Yesterday was payday, so today must be rent day. What do I owe you, Mrs. Davis?
I'm not worried about the rent, Connie, although I could use a small loan.
How much?
Well, $5 would do nicely. It's for a donation I promised the Ailing Newsboys Fund.
All right, Mrs. Davis, I can let you have $5.
You sure you won't miss it?
No, I won't miss it. The people I owe the payment on my car might miss it, but I'll take care of that later. I've had my eye on a bag in Justin's department store, and I've decided to throw caution to the winds and buy it this afternoon.
The one you told me about, green alligator skin?
That's the one. Of course, I'll have to postpone a lot of my time payments. The car, my coat, the watch I bought for Mr. Boynton, but it's worth it. Wait till you see that bag, Mrs. Davis.
But what about your creditors? What'll you tell them?
I'll write them all polite letters.
Letters? What'll you say?
Oh, I'll think of something. I'm an English teacher, ain't I? Aren't I? Am I not?
You certainly must have your heart set on that bag.
Oh, I have. Do you think Mr. Boynton will like it? He likes frogs and lizards and things.
Then this alligator bag ought to be right up his alley.
Lucky alligator bag to be up an alley with Mr. Boynton. Oh, that must be Walter Denton. He's giving me a lift to school. I'll be there in a minute, Walter.
Is your car in the repair shop again, Connie?
Yes, the garage says they just have to get one more part for the car before I can drive it again.
What part is that?
A motor. Hello, Walter. Come in.
Thanks, Miss Brooks. I just came in to tell you to be sure and bring a coat with you this morning. It's colder than a school teacher's heart out. I mean, some school teachers' hearts, Miss Brooks. You're a warm one.
Thanks, Walter. You can butter me up on the way to school. I'll go get a coat. I'll just be a few minutes.
Did someone let that cat in again?
It's me, Mrs. Davis.
Oh, Walter, I'm glad you came in. We've got to make arrangements for the surprise party.
Does she know it's her birthday?
No, just like last year, she's forgotten about it completely.
Well, then the party will go over that much bigger. Did you find out what she wants?
Yes, I did, Walter. It's a green bag in Justin's, but she's threatened to buy it for herself.
Golly, that's no good.
I know. So I've thought up this scheme. If we all borrow some money from her, she won't be able to buy it. Then we can give it to her for a present. I'll call the Conklins and tell them to be sure and borrow something from Miss Brooks when she gets to school.
Good. She's so soft-hearted she'll never turn anybody down, as long as there's a hard luck story with it. I'll put the bite on her and... I'll borrow something on our way to school.
Here she comes. I'll go back into the kitchen. I don't want her to think we've been conspiring.
Okay, Mrs. Davis.
Well, that wasn't such a long wait, was it, Walter?
Oh, not at all, Miss Brooks. Gosh, that's a nice coat. Well, when did you buy that?
Within the next 18 months. Let's hurry, Walter. I couldn't touch a morsel of Mrs. Davis's breakfast. I'd like to get a bite on our way.
Don't worry, you will.
Our Miss Brooks will continue in just a moment, but first...
I think my favorite medium is theater.
Uh-huh.
I like dealing with the audience on one-to-one. You know, you do a picture, and it's very different because it's a director's medium and a producer's medium and the money man's medium.
Mm-hmm.
So that what comes out isn't what you expect, you know?
Complete the last line of this jingle.
In the theater, when you step out on that stage, nobody can say, oh, don't read that line that way.
Yeah.
Or you need a little more light. You know, you're on. And I love that part of it. And my husband loves theater.
Rules obtainable at your dealers.
I had always wanted to have a hit on Broadway that was created by me. You know, kind of like Judy Holliday in Born Yesterday. And I griped about it a little. And someone said to me, do you realize if you'd had a hit on Broadway, probably 100 or 200,000 people might have seen you in it if you'd stayed in it long enough. And this way, you've been in Miss Brooks, everybody loves you, and you've been seen by millions. So I figured I'd better shut up while I was ahead.
I just had a tune-up job done on the car, Miss Brooks. Runs pretty smooth, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, Walter. What kind of a car was this? Is this?
A 1938 Hudson.
Certainly held together for the past 10 years.
So have you, Miss Brooks. Not that I'm comparing you with a car or anything, but, well, you're still so youthful. Nature's treated you extremely well. Why, you haven't even got any crow's feet.
Nature probably knows I can't afford shoes for them.
I don't like to keep bothering you with my personal problems, Miss Brooks, but could I once more?
Could you once more what, Walter?
Bother you with a personal problem. It's about a financial matter.
What kind of a financial matter?
A loan?
Are you asking me or telling me?
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm broke.
Really? How long have you been a school teacher?
No, I'm serious. I've just got to get some money somewhere. It isn't like it was for myself. I wouldn't even ask if it was for myself.
Who is it for?
It's for a friend of mine. He's an iceman, and his horse fell down the other day, and he's laid up in the barn now, and my friend hasn't been able to sell any ice.
Oh, that's too bad, Walter.
He doesn't know when the horse will be on his feet again, and he's just had a baby.
The horse?
No, the Iceman.
Well, that's a switch.
His wife had a baby, you see, and they haven't got enough money to buy milk to feed it, let alone the other 7 children in the family, plus oats. You think it's sad, Miss Brooks?
Saddest thing since Camille. How much do you want to borrow, Walter?
$5 would help a lot.
Okay, here you are.
Gosh, thanks. Are you sure you won't miss it?
No, I won't miss it, Walter. The people who sold me this coat may miss it, but I'll take care of that later.
Thanks again. You don't know what this money will do for these people, and you'll get it back just as soon as my friend's foot heals.
Your friend's foot? I thought it was the horse who fell.
The horse? Oh, sure. But didn't I tell you? When the horse fell, my friend tried to lift him up and sprained his own ankle.
Oh, great. Between his sick horse, sprained ankle, and having a baby, your friend is the busiest iceman I ever knew.
Well, we're right near school. Oh, gosh, I got so wound up talking about my poor friend, I forgot to stop and let you get some breakfast.
Well, after that story, Walter, I'd feel guilty eating anything but hay. I'll have an early lunch in the cafeteria.
Okay, Miss Brooks. Well, here we are.
Thanks, Walter. Say, isn't that Harriet Conklin going up the steps?
Yeah, that's Harriet. Oh, you better hurry. She's anxious to talk to you.
How can you tell from the back of her neck?
I'm psychic about some things. Go ahead, Miss Brooks.
All right, Walter. See you later. Good morning, Harriet.
Oh, good morning, Miss Brooks. I'm so glad we bumped into each other before school starts. I've been very anxious to talk to you.
Walter is psychic at that, among other things. What did you want to talk to me about?
Well, it's rather embarrassing. Not that you're hard to talk to or anything, but, oh, golly, I just don't know how to say it now that we're face to face.
Well, we'd look pretty silly chatting back to back. What seems to be the trouble?
Well, it's really not my trouble, Miss Brooks. It's just that I've got to get some financial assistance for a friend in need.
What friend, Harriet?
Well, it's a little boy I know. He comes from a very poor family, and in order to help his folks, he shines shoes after school. Now, he's got a little dog that helped him get his business started.
What did he do, put up the money?
No, Miss Brooks. He used to do tricks and attract customers. But just the other day, he fell down and hurt his foot. Now the poor little dog can't even get downtown anymore.
Well, I can get him a lift downtown if he doesn't mind riding on a lame horse.
I don't understand.
Well, I don't either. But how much do you want to borrow?
Well, right after he was hurt, they took the little dog to a hospital, and the bill there was $8.
He must have had a semi-private room. Well, here's the $8, Harriet.
Oh, thank you, Miss Brooks. You sure you won't miss it?
No, I won't miss it. The people I owe the payment on my watch might miss it, but I'll take care of that later. Anyway, I still have enough left to pick up that bag at Justin's this afternoon.
You have? Oh, I mean, what bag?
A green alligator job that I've had my eye on for weeks.
Oh. Well, before you go to your room, Daddy would like you to stop in at his office.
Uh-oh, what have I done now?
Well, why should you think you've done something, Miss Brooks? Golly, just because Daddy's a principal is no reason for anybody to be afraid of him.
No, maybe you're right, Harriet.
Good morning.
Ah! Morning, Daddy. See you later, Miss Brooks.
Bye, Harriet.
Will You step into my office a moment, Miss Brooks?
Certainly, Mr. Conklin.
At ease. Have a chair.
Yes, sir.
As you know, I was a major in the last war. Spent almost 4 years in charge of the post exchange at Camp Bobrick, Ohio.
Stout fella.
Yes, although I've been returned to the arms of my loved ones for over 2 years now, I opened my last box of Hershey's in 46. I must confess there are aspects of military life which bear remembering.
Such as?
The camaraderie, esprit de corps. Don't you agree, Miss Brooks?
Oui, mon capitaine.
Now, you've been teaching at Madison High for over 5 years, haven't you?
That's right, Mr. Conklin. And in that time, I've had a lot of esprit de corps, but very few raises. I think the last one was way
now,
back in...
let's not talk shop, Miss Brooks. I realize that you haven't had a raise in some time, but after all, it's a universal complaint these days, and one which can't be remedied overnight. Meanwhile, you get by very nicely on the money you earn, don't you?
Well, speaking frankly...
That's the only way to speak, Miss Brooks. Now, if you don't mind, I'll come to the point. I've got to have some financial assistance for a friend of mine in distress.
Another one?
This poor chap was one of my GI assistants during the war. Just a corporal, but I recommended him for a War Department citation.
Really?
Yes. You never saw anyone fill a Coke machine like this lad. As for stacking Kleenex boxes, well. After the war, he got married and started to raise a family. That was 3 years ago, but luck didn't favor this boy. He lost one job after another. Things went from bad to worse.
You mean he became a teacher?
It's no laughing matter, Miss Brooks. He's just written me that his wife is going to have another baby. Their fourth.
In 3 years?
There's a set of twins. In any event, he's desperate. He can't even afford a hospital room for his wife.
Well, I know where there's a semi-private room if she doesn't mind dogs. I mean, how much would you like to borrow, Mr. Conklin?
Well, I've asked many of my friends for $5 or $10.
I see. Well, I guess
But you're such an old friend, Miss Brooks, I feel that I can ask you for $15.
Before our friendship gets any older, here's the $15.
Oh, thank you, Miss Brooks. You're sure you won't miss it?
No, I won't miss it. The people I owe a repair bill on my car might miss it, but I'll take care of that later.
Very well. That'll be all then. Dismissed.
I was a freelance actress, and I did just lots of radio shows, hundreds of radio shows. I did Mayor of the Town with Lionel Barrymore and Agnes Moorehead, and just on and on.
Now, when you joined the cast of Our Miss Brooks, you were a teenager at that time?
I was.
And
I was a teenager, and I'd done lots of radio. And
you had done the Lux Radio Theater
Yeah,
many times over the years, didn't you? Lux?
Yes, oh my goodness, yes.
I want to talk to you about Lux, but I first want to talk with you about Our Miss Brooks. Now, you were cast as the daughter of Osgood Conklin, the principal of that series, Harriet Conklin.
Yes.
Did you have to audition with a lot of other young ladies for that role?
You know, they did have an audition, and I'm trying to remember how that all came down. But there was an audition, and I got a call from Larry Burns, who was the producer, and he said, "You're going to do Harriet." And I thought, oh my goodness, that was such a, and it was a regular role, which meant I would be under contract to CBS, which I was for 10 years.
By the fall of 1948, William Paley's package program initiative had taken hold. On Monday nights, the Lux Radio Theater, Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts, and My Friend Irma all had top 10 ratings. While on Thursday evenings, Suspense, Mr. Keen, and Casey Crime Photographer had nearly 20 million listeners each. However, It was Sunday evenings where CBS would make its move to topple NBC as the #1 network. At the time, all individual U.S. citizens were taxed 77% on all income over $70,000. However, if Radio Stars Incorporated and sold their shows to the networks, they would be taxed under capital gains laws at 25%. NBC refused to give their top talent this deal. William Paley had no issue making such an agreement. Amos and Andy and Jack Benny were the first to jump ship. It drastically changed Sunday night's ratings. Benny's first month on CBS in January of 1949 was the highest rated show on the air, with a rating of 28.3. Meanwhile, in March, audiences voted Eve Arden radio's top comedienne.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to bring to our microphone the Western editor of Radio Mirror magazine, Miss Ann Daggett.
Thank you, Mr. Lamont. And as you know, the current issue of Radio Mirror magazine is now announcing the results of its annual awards based on a poll of radio listeners all over the country. It is my pleasant duty to present this scroll on behalf of those listeners who have elected as radio's top-ranking comedian, Miss Eve Arden.
Thank you, Miss Daggett, and my sincere thanks also to you listeners who made this award possible. I'd like to say at this time that I'm certainly going to try in the coming months to merit the honor you've bestowed upon me, because I understand that if I win this scroll 2 years in a row, I get to keep Mr. Boynton. Thanks again, and good night.
In the fall of 1949, WCBS in New York programmed Our Miss Brooks on Sundays at 6:30 to serve as the lead-in for the Jack Benny program. Hollywood affiliate KNX ran the show in transcription at 8 p.m. Pacific Time. Our Miss Brooks remained strong even as radio audiences were leaving for TV. The show cracked radio's top 40 in 1950, top 30 in 1951, and top 20 in 1952. By then, the program also featured Mary Jane Croft as Miss Enright.
I did the radio show, and then we went to television. And it was just marvelous. Dick Crenna was funny and wonderful in it and grew up on it. Jeff was in the radio show. Was he Ira Gressel then? I think he was still Ira Gressel. That was his name before Jeff Chandler, and I think that was his name then. Yes, and then he went into pictures right away and
got more comfortable, actually smoother shades.
Do you remember when you first met them? Mary Jane told me on the phone last night that she was on Our Miss Brooks.
Yes, she was my rival, Miss Enright.
Miss Enright?
Yes. And you knew Jeff Chandler was my original leading man. My daughter came here today and said, Mother, I got a cassette of Our Miss Brooks. And she said Jeff Chandler was on it. So she was kind of surprised.
That he was on it for as long as he was?
Well, yes, she didn't realize that he had been the first one.
Oh, excuse me, Miss Brooks, but may I sit at this table with you? The school cafeteria is pretty crowded today.
Oh, sit down, Mr. Boynton. You'll forgive me if I go ahead with my lunch.
Oh, of course.
I want to eat this salad while it's still warm.
There's something I'd like to talk to you about.
Yes, Mr. Boynton?
I've heard from many people how generous and warm-hearted you are under your veneer of seeming sophistication. Of course, I've always known that you're true blue, 100% human being, deep down below the surface.
Why, Mr. Boynton, you've been peeking at my x-rays.
I'm serious. I know that I can appeal to you for assistance without fear of embarrassment. And I know when you hear my story, you'll want to help.
Et tu, Boynton? Well, what's your story?
Well, I have this friend who's also a biologist.
From a poor family?
No, his family's very wealthy, as a matter of fact.
But he's married and has 7 children and 1 on the way.
No, he's a single chap.
But he's got a bad sickness.
No, he's in the pink of condition.
Oh, wait a minute. I know. His little puppy broke its leg.
Oh, he hasn't any puppy, but his Great Dane just won a blue ribbon.
Wrong again. But give that lady a box of Red Heart and 2 tickets to next week's flea circus. Look, Mr. Boynton, I'll bet your friend's horse is so lame he can't even ride him to work,
Well, my friend drives a Cadillac. Look, if you'll just let me finish, I'll be as brief as possible. You see, he's leaving town, and he's got about 30 white mice and frogs that he wants to give me.
Oh, so that's it. They're sick.
Oh, no, not at all. They're wonderful specimens.
But they're orphans.
Please, Miss Brooks, what I'm trying to tell you is that I'll need about $20 for the added equipment it'll require to house them.
Oh, well, why didn't you say so? Here, Mr. Boynton, here's $18. It's all I have left. Let a couple of the mice double up.
Thank you, Miss Brooks. I certainly appreciate this, but are you sure you won't miss it?
No, I won't miss it. The people I owe the payments on my car, watch, and coat might miss it, but I'll take care of that later. There's only one thing that's not going to be put off, Mr. Boynton.
Oh, what's that?
A green alligator bag I've got my deep down underneath little warm heart set on. My first stop after school will be the nearest bank that lends money.
All right. Attention. Quiet, please. Now then, Harriet, it was your idea to have this surprise party for Miss Brooks. Suppose you outline the plan.
All right, Daddy. First of all, did we all borrow enough from Miss Brooks to keep her from getting that bag she won?
Mrs. Davis and I took $5 each from her.
I nailed her for that is... I appropriated 15.
And she loaned me $18.
Good for you, Mr. Boynton.
Oh, I'm afraid it's not good enough, Mr. Conklin. She told me at lunch she was going to the bank and borrow the money for the bag.
Oh, golly, that'll spoil everything.
I know. Why don't we call the store and tell them under no circumstances to sell her that bag? Tell them we're buying it.
Excellent, Walter. It's a wonder that agile mind of yours doesn't function quite so efficaciously in the schoolroom.
Gosh, thanks, Mr. Conklin.
Then I'll run down to the store, pick up the bag, and take it home. Now, who'll get Miss Brooks and bring her over to our house?
Oh, I will. I'll call for her at about 5 o'clock and bring her over to your house at 6.
Fine. Now, synchronize watches, everybody.
Let's see, confidential loan department. This is it. Pardon me, I've read your ads, but I'd still like to be assured that any business we transact will be strictly confidential.
You may be quite certain of that, miss.
What?
I said we treat all our transactions with the utmost secrecy.
Well, you can let me in on it. I'd like to borrow about $35.
Yes, ma'am. What is your occupation, please?
I'm a school teacher.
How long have you been teaching, and at what school, please?
5 years at Madison High. And how do you sound when you've got laryngitis?
Very comical. You write your name and address down, and I'll get you the money.
Is that all there is to it?
Yes, we don't believe in a lot of red tape.
Oh.
All you have to do is sign a few papers. First here.
Yes.
Now here.
Right.
Now this one.
There you are.
Now here.
Mm-hmm.
And here.
Again.
And this one.
Yes.
Now we'll start on the second page. Here.
Yes.
And here.
Mm-hmm.
And here.
Mm-hmm.
And here. And here. And here.
Can I help you, madam?
It's Miss Brooks. I'd like to see an item your department has been featuring in your window display.
What item is that, Miss Brooks?
It's a green alligator.
What?
A green alligator. I've seen it in your window every day for weeks now.
Have you ever heard of Alcoholics Anonymous?
Do you mean to tell me you don't know what I'm talking about?
Oh, not at all, Miss Brooks. You know you don't know what you're talking about, don't you? Or do you?
Of course I do. Let's start all over again. There's a purse made of green alligator skin that's been in your window for the past...
Oh, that thing. Oh, you wouldn't want to own that. Why, it wouldn't do a thing for you.
It wouldn't have to. I've got a job. May I see it, please?
Funny thing about that model, I sold the last one not a half hour ago to, Miss H. Conklin, I believe.
Well, couldn't you get one just like it if I... H. Conklin? That's Harriet. Why, that little demon. Maybe if I get her another bag, she'll trade me the green one. No, she wears a lot of green. Besides, she has alligator shoes, too. Well, I might as well go over to her house and see what I can do, anyway.
I didn't mean to eavesdrop on your monologue. But, H. Conklin won't be home for a while. She said she had a lot of shopping to do. And then she's going to get a manicure at Antoine's.
Well, I'll go to her house and wait. Thank you, and good day, J. Edgar Hoover.